When learning to dive, the sitting dive is a good starter for confidence. However, the body often lands in the water at the same time as the hands. The kneeling dive has similar results. Here we have a non-diver whose natural reaction is to jump when asked to dive. I prefer the pike fall as a way of introducing diving, as this ensures the body is entering the water at the same point as the hands. It is also one where you as the instructor can help for both confidence and ensuring a correct body position. Keep the head tucked by placing the arms over the head. With help, direct the swimmer into the water. While the head is tucked, if the arms go straight down or back, an accidental tuck roll will be performed. If a tuck roll is likely, help stretch the arms forward when entering the water. Although the knees are still bent, the hands are now entering first. With practice and confidence, the swimmer will eventually straighten the legs when entering the water. The next swimmer, on their first dive, shows typical signs of head up and stepping into the water. Again, the first stage is to ensure that their hands are positioned over their head so that they can have a nice streamlined entry when entering the water. As you can see, the fear of entering head first is still counteracted by stepping in or going feet first, and the nervous is shown in the bent arms, the pulling back rather than falling forward, and the moving feet. By helping the legs stay straight and not allowing the knees to drop, the swimmer can understand the diving sensation. However, this only works if the arms continue to be streamlined. Eventually, instead of holding the knees, you can just give little touches. Now the swimmer is at the same stage as the first beginner, with hands going into the water first, but with knees a little bit bent. Here is a pike fall, where the legs stay straight when entering the water. By standing taller and keeping a bent or a banana position with the head tucked in, a simple dive can now be performed. In the previous dive, we saw the swimmer entering hands first, with the feet staying on the side until entry. By adding a spring, the swimmer can now dive up and in rather than just in. It must be noted that the spring must come from the feet rather than the knees. If the spring occurs too late or the knees drop, the projection of the dive will not be effective, as they enter the water flat and too early. Springing earlier, the body has more time in the air, resulting in a stronger and a further dive. Remember the grip. Not only will this save slipping, but it will also give more power for the spring. Diving is not only about how you leave the side and how you enter the water, but also what happens underwater. Here we see a swimmer with head raised as soon as she enters the water. This at least doubles the surface area, moving forward and thus reducing the speed. Now she corrects this by keeping her head down, keeping a more streamlined position. Maintain the same dives when diving from a greater height. Again, we can see that the knees have dropped, so the spring must occur earlier. The pencil dive is a good way to practice springing. Now we move on to the spring dive, which is better carried out with the hands swinging forward as opposed to arms swinging over the top, as this can take longer and result in a two-action dive. To practice the one-action dive, in other words arms swinging over the head at the same time as springing, squat jumps on the side are sometimes useful. Here we have a swing dive where the arms fail to go over the head, resulting in an earlier and deeper entry. Focusing on arms being thrown over the head can improve this. The grab start has both feet gripping the block and hands placed between to create balance. Legs should be slightly bent to ensure pressure in the back of the legs. Fall forward when starting, then spring in one action. Some swimmers prefer the track start as they find that this gives them more momentum. In the case of the track start, the starting position is one foot in front of the other. Make sure that the knees point forward rather than squeezing together. In this dive, the transfer of power goes from the back leg to the front. Note the excellent streamlined position of this swimmer after their dive. Depending on the stroke, diving can now be practiced with the appropriate start, as shown here with the breaststroke pull-out. Finally, for the more advanced diver, a lifted head while springing will raise the shoulders, resulting in a higher and a more powerful dive.